I absolutely smashed that last Slazenger. And I honestly think, I can't believe I'm going to say this might shock the golfing world forever. But just the other day, my lovely wife wanted to go shopping. And just like any loving husband, I agreed. And as soon as we got there, just like any other golf husband in the world, I sought out the nearest golf shop. However, this time, there wasn't really a golf shop, there was a... That's broken already. Brilliant. There wasn't really a golf shop, there was a Sports Direct. However, they did have a big sale on golf equipment. As you can see, this driver is down from £52.99 to just £26.99. Now, this is of course a 460cc Slazenger V300 quad flex driver, and it features that, I suppose we could say. But for the price of this driver, could it prove to be one of the best bargains that we've ever seen, or is it just, as we often say, cheap? In today's video, we're going to find out, and we're going to compare it to what I think is 2025's best driver, the Ping G440 LS Tech. So for the price of the Ping G440 LS Tech, you could buy, maths isn't my strong point, but 20 of those. Maybe more. So here's how this test is going to go. We're going to give the Slazenger Sports Direct £26.99 driver a fair test. We're going to give it 3 cracks of the whip on each tee. The Ping G440, which does come with a head cover. These didn't come with a head cover. And when I say these, yeah, she went shopping for a while, so we've got quite a bit of cheap or potentially great value golf clubs to test this week. And now I must admit, the buying process behind these golf clubs was a little bit different to maybe going to a specialist golf shop. But then the lady behind the counter did her best. We had a conversation about golf, a conversation. It's definitely broken, this. Just these ones, please.
Here's low.
Thank you. Are these going to fix my game?
Depends how good you are.
Not that good.
If you're really bad, they can't work miracles, unfortunately. Although that would be good. That's $58.97.
Thank you.
I've got a friend that always boasts how great he is at golf.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's go play golf then. But do you know when you end up sat down upfield and you're like,
I'm not one for going and getting £26 back, but I don't know, that's quite annoying. But as you can see, it does say it features distance 3 out of 5 blocks, or stars we could say. Forgiveness 4 out of 5, and flight, I have no idea what that's supposed to mean, but let's give this thing a go and see if it's really good value, or like we said, crap. One of the things we got this driver was a graphite shaft, so quite pleased with that. I think whenever you can, this looks so interesting down at the ball, and it is making an awful rattle. I feel like that could come off at any time. How does it sound when you hit it? I'll tell you what. Now, we are going to get this on the launch monitor if it doesn't break, and there's potential for it to maybe not be as bad as what we think. There's also potential for it to be god-awful and the numbers be horrendous. I mean, that was a pretty good strike just out the toe. Forgiveness factor, pretty good. Can we hit the fairway 3 times out of 3 with this, and then what can we do with the Ping? Well, that's a bit cutty. That might be in the bushes. It's either past the bushes or it's in the bushes. Now, that didn't feel like a terrible strike with this Slazenger driver. I feel like it's definitely got a little bit more spin on it than potentially a everyday, more expensive driver would. But I'm not kidding myself here. For £26.99, what do you expect? We've hit one good one so far and hit a bit more of a draw. The shaft's very whippy, which I quite like. It means I'm not trying to really create too much club head speed. I'll let the shaft do it for me. And that's that low cutty one. Again, depends what strike you put on it, but that's running up the fairway nicely. And that's kind of a 2 out of 3 ain't bad, a wise man once said. Now, this is where we kind of put the cat amongst the pigeons, because if this doesn't really work, and the Slazenger goes past it even once for the price, I'm embarrassed. The girl behind the counter's laughing.
First half, you couldn't hit the ball whatsoever.
And you're all thinking, what on earth have we been spending our money on the last 10, 20, 30 years? Which I often think actually, but not in a golf world, just in general. So the Ping does feature the turbulators on top for enhanced aerodynamics. We obviously have that lovely carbon crown, and we also have the carbon fiber wrap which goes around the toe and the heel, so Ping can discriminately? I don't think Ping are trying to discriminate, are they? They can put weight where they want it, basically. Ping has been good for me so far this year. And I imagine that's going to be quite a long way past the Slazenger. But you never know. Let's get up there and find out. Now, one of the areas that I think you can't really quantify, you can't really look at the numbers, you can't really gauge how far you go up and down a fairway with it, is can you play golf with it and can you enjoy golf with it? Because as you all know on this channel, hopefully you do. If you don't, guys, please make sure you do hit that subscribe button below, because I like testing pretty much every golf club there is, especially the more budget stuff. I understand that today we're kind of taking it a little bit of maybe a step too far for some people, but I think the more budget golf equipment on the market, the better. It means more people can come and start to play this wonderful game, but also more people can stay in this wonderful game. You don't have to have the world's best equipment to be a good golfer. You don't have to be a good golfer to be a golfer. You have to enjoy it. So first bit of good news, the shot that I thought was in the bushes is in fact safe and around the bushes. Two shots very close to each other there. And I'm going to be honest here, front to back dispersion is pretty impressive on all three of those shots. And when we look at where the Ping is, the Ping's in the fairway. We've hit the fairway twice. That second shot was in the fairway. Twice with the Slazenger. We've missed it once, which is tough, but they're the breaks and the Ping's there. Is that worth the money? Like if we were to pick these up and count the yards, 1, 2, 20, 21, 22, 23 and a bit. 23 yards and a bit for an extra £500? The test continues, but it's a very interesting early hypothesis. That's the wrong word again. I don't know. So that first hole we tested was uphill but downwind, so I'm not sure really if that does benefit one or the other. I imagine it probably benefits the Slazenger. We're now into the wind, and I really don't think this is going to benefit the Slazenger, because this hole's a lovely driving hole actually. You can really start to visualise some different shots off here, but it is quite heavily into the wind. So we're going to go with the Ping first this time, really try and set the standard here. One bad shot with the Ping, and this is the beauty about this test, we have 3 attempts with the V300 to either get past it or of course just put one in the fairway. You're okay spending £500 on a driver and then putting a terrible golf swing on it, then your mate rocks up with this and goes, oh, isn't that what I was supposed to do by hitting the fairway at 200 yards? And the funny thing is, we all have that friend, don't we? That friend who's really good at pool, is amazing at darts, snooker table, not a problem, steps on a golf course and just hits it bang straight. It's not Brett, if that's what you're asking. It's not Brett, right. This means a lot actually, you do not want to be embarrassed. I've hit that a little bit toey, you know, I've lost my balance as you can see. It's the right hand side of the fairway. It's held its line remarkably well actually, but it might well be beatable. And if it is, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, 3 attempts. Really thick, dark head on this, really just blacked out, really elongated toe section of the club. Right, that's going to be really interesting. Very similar, I don't know if that's going to be past it, you know, with the first one. Very similar to the Costco Kirkland driver in a way that to bring the spin rate down, I already feel as I have to hit it out of the toe. Luckily enough for me, that's my bad shot, kind of. That's just where I kind of hit it normally. Could this be the driver for me? No, seriously, come on. Just gonna go in gung-ho at this, really. The shaft, although it's whippy, is almost helping me with what we're trying to... Oh, that's bad. Sit. That's left-hand trees, and that's the shaft not helping me get in front. Come on, Slazenger. That's another good one. And that was a Healy one, actually. So 2 pretty good ones there, 1 bad one. Consistency is always going to be difficult with this club, just because the shaft obviously isn't a premium quality graphite. The head, I'm going to go out there and say, isn't a premium quality material. And it's making a god-awful noise, so something's gone wrong as soon as we got it out of the car. But for the sake of like 50 quid for a full set driver hybrid 3-wood, could this be the answer if you're thinking about getting into our beautiful game? And then if you don't like it, nothing gained, nothing lost, I suppose you could say. Now, I must admit, often when it comes to these videos, I think to myself, would I rather use this equipment or not play golf? Because that's, for a lot of people, is potentially the kind of question we're talking about, isn't it? These are affordable, they're usable, they're probably not the best golf clubs you can buy. I think that's fair to say. But to not play golf, I would always choose play golf. Always, be it a second-hand set. And like, what can you really get second-hand for 28 quid? You can probably get something. I'm not sure you can get something much better than that, to be honest. Now, this is really interesting, because check out the consistency level of those 2 shots with the Slazenger as well. Yes, we hit one into the trees. We'll go and retrieve that in a second, but I'm really impressed with those 2. What I'm also really impressed with is the ping wasn't a very good strike. It wasn't a good swing. I lost my balance. It came heavily out the toe, and it's there. So if we kind of do the 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 and a bit, you can probably call those exactly the same. So we're already 50 yards behind on 2 holes. And if you add that up over, call it 14 driver holes, a lot. Let's go a lot. Okay, so numbers for this 26-pound Srixon Quadflex V300 460cc driver. Now, we know that the ping carries around kind of between 210 and 300, to be honest, but usually around kind of 265 to 280, depending how we hit it. So what can we get with this Srixon? Could it be... To be honest, that's not too bad. That's a lot lower launching than what I anticipated. It's 230 yards carry. The backspin isn't horrendous. The backspin's 1600. I feel like the shaft just let me down a touch there, but we could really do with upping kind of ball speed, and it feels very difficult to move, very difficult to transition. It's 240. I mean, we've hit one 20 yards right and one 20 yards left, and certainly we're getting a very different feeling in here than we were getting out on the golf course when we were comparing it against that ping. But again, the ping, I think, is the best driver this year, and it's a lot more expensive than this Slazenger. Did I say Srixon earlier? Definitely a Slazenger. Oh, that's all right though. That's all right though. 220 carry, 250 yards total. I mean, the thing, I think the big thing here is the consistency of the shaft and the consistency of the golfer. That's where you might find that the more beginner golfer who isn't maybe as consistent potentially doesn't see as much of a difference as I'm seeing here. That's as good as I've got. It's a 1900 spin, plenty of strike, and it's a 247 carry. It's releasing up to 270 yards. It's in the fairway. I've really got, for the price, to be honest, I've got no qualms with that whatsoever. Let's tee it a little bit higher, and let's see if potentially we can just get it launching a little bit more, because for 10.5, they're all pretty low launch, aren't they? So sternum back. No, that didn't work. The shaft was all over the place there. You're probably bored of that, because I am, but certainly something in this. I'm not sure entirely what, but golf doesn't have to be that expensive. It doesn't have to be £500 for a driver. But as you can tell with these numbers, it probably helps. It's 270 like total, but it's 244 carry, which isn't really gonna cut it. It's consistent. And for anyone interested in the difference between a really good shot with the Slazenger and a bad one, it's probably 26 again. So bad shot to bad shot comparison is probably 50. Which for the price is probably about right, really. Okay, I think we've just about proved a point. But let's have one last dance. Let's have one last hurrah for this budget driver. One opportunity each to try and take home, well, I suppose it's bragging rights, isn't it? But let's just all kind of reset here and remind ourselves what we're actually talking about, because the big story here isn't how good the Ping is, isn't kind of how bad the Slazenger is, it's this. £26.99, cheaper than most golf lessons around the UK, cheaper than, well, quite a few green fees around the UK, maybe not in 2025, but it can get you playing golf. And I think that's massive. Ping first, cut the corner, just a nice swing. That's a bit of a bottomy one, you know, it's gonna be okay. Yeah, it's took a nice kick. That's where you're kind of paying the money, isn't it? You hit that one and you've got away with it. However, Slazenger did say this was 4 stars out of 5 for forgiveness. Right, I've absolutely smashed that. I have absolutely given that everything. And this could be a lot closer than what we've been thinking. Kind of. So, have we really proved anything in this video? I personally really enjoyed it. I do love videos like this that, like I said, brings a kind of light to more affordable golf products and everything else. Those last shots really got me thinking that you don't need expensive stuff. It's nice to have nice stuff. It's nice if you're working hard and you're saving up and you want nice stuff. It's really a big difference. I absolutely smashed that last Slazenger. And I honestly think, I can't believe I'm going to say this might shock the golfing world forever, but it's still 20 yards behind. This must be a number 4. And it is. That's the Slazenger, which means that is a number 2, which is the Ping. And see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.